Welcome back to Never Watch Alone. Well, you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. I am your host, Tim Leifheit, and joining me, as always, is Sean Wheeler. What's up, Sean?
How you doing?
Oh, dude, man. I'm tell you what, I'm gonna tell you 2 times. I love this movie. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies. I'm here to talk. I am Timmy 2 times right now, aren't I?
I'll tell. It's Jimmy 2 times, so you're already fucking it up, but it's all right. It's
Hey,
all right.
no, well,
We
you
love
gotta
anyway.
adapt it. You gotta adapt it. Come on,
Yes,
come on. Yeah, man.
So I think this is a great bookend for this month because we started with my favorite Scorsese movie,
Yeah.
and we are ending with what I am believing is yours.
Oh, it totally is. GoodFellas. Look, he has made some of the finest films in American cinema over the last half decade. And a lot of people argue which is like his real magnum opus. I really think, looking at his career and looking at his life, his biography, his journey as a filmmaker, and as a journey of cinema, of what we've gone through in the form and in history in America, I honestly think that this film is truly his magnum opus.
Well, I think it speaks to the quality of the source material which I'm sure you're well aware of this, obviously, but Scorsese had sworn off doing more mob movies.
Oh, yeah.
And then he read the proofs for this book, and he's like, shit, I have to do a mob movie. So something that is so good that he's like, I have to do this again, even after he was like, I'm kind of done, that says something.
Oh, dude, for real. It's like, hey, man, look, I'm out. I don't want to do this no more. I am out. And then something... That is kind of a weird, like, it's almost like seeing an outlaw, an aged outlaw who, wondered us with these amazing spectacles of Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. And he comes out of retirement for one last showdown. And of course...
I'm not laughing at your analogy. I'm laughing because we're doing Mob March, and a quote from one of the more lamentable mob movies is all I could think of. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in!
It really is. Oh my God, you're totally right. And that came out the same year, didn't it? That was 1990. Godfather 3. 1990, Goodfellas, man. Isn't that crazy? Like, we had all these... and as a matter of fact, how fucking hilarious is it that, when The Godfather comes out, and it's hailed as one of the greatest American cinema, still is. It comes out. It has a sequel that's just as good and arguably better. And they're like, oh my God, he's going to complete the trilogy. This is going to be the greatest mob movie of all time. It's going to be a great thing. And then you see like this other guy like, oh, Scorsese's doing a mob movie? Whatever. Godfather 3, this is going to be amazing. And they backed the wrong horse.
Changing of the guard.
It really was. That was, man, that's kind of a pivotal moment right there. Like, that was when... Scorsese truly, just ingrained himself as the American mob director,
Yeah, and, I mean, look, obviously, I love Scorsese mob movies. I mean, Departed's my favorite movie by him. And I love Goodfellas. Like, if you're a cinema buff, you can't not love Goodfellas. That's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, man.
But for me, I end up watching it a lot because so many other people I know love it, and I'm always happy to watch it with them.
Yeah.
But when I myself am going to, when I want to watch, Scorsese movies that I really like, it's honestly, it's probably, it's probably third for me because I'm
what's second? What's second?
Taxi Driver.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, of course, I have to preface this with, this has come up on the show before. Huge fan of punk, huge fan of punk culture. That movie is well beloved in punk culture.
Yeah.
It's well regarded, and it's also well loved by a lot of literary people I like who are associated loosely, like there's not really punk novelists, but there's novelists loved by punks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that movie tends to be beloved by a lot of the novelists who, you know, were really inspired by the original punk movement, and clearly their work demonstrates, you know, an influence from that. That's one of the movies that also influenced them. So there's kind of a lot of cross-cultural stuff.
Oh, yeah.
With that. And also, I'm sorry, but the climax and the cinematography of the climax of that movie just blows my mind every time.
Oh, the of Taxi Driver, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for real.
The
look of it is
going through the walls, like after the fact, to show the whole aftermath, but just the way they choreograph and shot the entire, you know, apartment hallway, like stairwell fight scenes, is just
also
like, oh my god.
Even just down to like the chemical processing to make it look a little bit grungier and dirtier. And as a matter of fact, when they were done with that process, he's like, "Oh my god, I kind of wish I made that entire movie like that." Which would have been amazing. You know what? I'm pretty sure that someone out there is going to do it. As a matter of fact, I think David Fincher kind of did something similar when he did Seven, because he did like this chemical bleach process with the film to get these really moody colors and really dark darks.
Yeah, and I think also for me a big part of it is like De Niro has had such a varied and, you know, obviously successful but well-regarded career, even with his comedy antics nowadays.
Oh, I know, right? Like we see him in like fucking Dirty Grandpa, and you're like, dude, you were one of the judges for the Cannes Film Festival. What are you doing?
But it's
paycheck,
like,
man.
Right, but like I look at that movie, and to me, that movie is just like, thank you. Like somebody like that really shows De Niro's artistry, because too often it's movies like this, which I mean, I love him in this, but he's always kind of playing like that sleek guy, that cool guy, that like, I love seeing him play a mentally unstable, I don't understand society, like off the rails.
Or,
like,
you know, have
I loved
him,
it.
or either that, or, you know, have him get back in the boxing ring and have him, you know, fight Rocky Balboa, which was so dumb. That was so silly.
So as I said, like for me, that movie just it's something special. I love it. And so obviously I love this movie, but like if I'm reaching for something, this is just like, as I said, not far down the list, but a little further down the list.
When did you first see this one? Actually, I'm really curious.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I know. I will never forget my first screening of it. I guess if you're having trouble like reminiscing, share mine.
I cannot tell you specifically, but I can tell you this much: I know it was high school.
Okay.
So sometime between like 98 and 2001.
Did that first screening like really just like was that like where you had that visceral first viewing, or was it like something that had to grow for you over time? Because a lot of even some of my all-time favorites, I'll watch them and be like, what the fuck am I watching? And then years later, I process it and I watch it again, and I'm like, oh. And then I watch it again, a couple months or years later, and I'm like, oh.
So I distinctly remember enjoying it the first time I watched it. However, I didn't really appreciate the pacing of it until later. Because upon a first watching, it felt, which is going to be really odd to say, because I know by this point I love The Godfather, but like, it just felt long to me.
Wow. Oh, wow. Really? Because this is like, when I watched it, this was like, wow, this is a movie that fucking zips by just because of the rhythm of it. Yeah.
And okay. We're going to welcome to an issue here.
Okay.
No, because this is where our age is going to show.
Yeah.
Commercials.
Ah. Yeah, man. The whole MTV generation, man.
Right. Yeah. So it's like I was still experiencing a lot of movies for the first time.
Yeah.
On television now, even with certain channels that would show you, relatively like fairly they keep a lot in. So I did not see this heavily censored. I know that. Like I still, people getting shot in the head.
Oh
like
yeah.
That was not cut out. So
Fuck
I know
this
that
shit, cunt, cock, asshole.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. And like, so some of the language was cleaned up, but the violence was not. And it also had to deal with commercials. So
yeah.
Like, I think
So, wait,
really
so you actually saw it on cable TV first?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Welcome to how you were. Look, I'm like 16.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the local shops are being dicks, so until you're 17, they're not letting you rent our movies yourself.
I gotcha.
So it's like you're catching stuff where you can. I have parents who were, shall we say, a bit religious.
Liberal? Oh, okay. I was very. Gotcha.
And so it's like, yeah, like I literally got to a point in my life where I was like, okay, so for my music tastes, before I had my license or could drive at 15, I was biking like 3 miles or more. Actually, more than that. I think it was more like 5 miles. Damn. To the local Best Buy to get my music uncensored because they would not let me buy it.
Shit, man. That's God, I miss the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally, I had to keep a stash, and I mean a literal stash, like, hidden, locked up stash of my Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah.
Because, like, if they found it, they'd be like, no.
That's Jay and Bob's secret stash, right?
Well, I mean, literally, starting at, like, sophomore year of high school, I would just do my homework every day to Mallrats. Like, and I would just stop and then pick it up the next day wherever. So there was a point in time, not anymore, but there was a point in time I literally had Mallrats memorized.
Nice. Good shit. And that's a good movie to memorize because that's just like dialogue, wall-to-wall dialogue, man.
Well, I mean, it's a good movie to have memorized when you're like a dumbass teenager because it has all kinds of great lines for a dumbass teenager.
Especially one who fucking reads comics because it has the greatest Stan Lee cameo of all time.
Right. Like, not so great when you've kind of grown up and matured and have much more refined senses of taste. You're just like, I love that at the time, but watching it now, you're just like, there's nostalgia there, thank God, because oof.
Yeah, man, you really did have it rough trying to watch it first time.
So like when I
mean,
finally got to experience this movie as it should be experienced, loved it.
Yeah.
I only liked it to start with though, because I liked mob movies in general, but it was like, because I'm watching it in this shit format.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like that's how TV is, and that's why I appreciate networks like TCM that it show these things A, commercial free, B, unedited, and C, in their original fucking aspect ratio and not this pan and scan bullshit.
Oh, I will tell you, I was the advocate in my high school and friend circle for like, no, letterboxed. You must watch it letterboxed.
No, I was the same way. And you know what was crazy? So I didn't have any real formal cinema education until high school because there were no classes for that kind of thing. We had one class in high school. It was called Film as Literature, and we were there watching Raiders of the Lost Ark in full pan and scan screen. And I was like, I actually had to go to TCM's website and pull up this video where they explain letterboxing and why it's superior, and yet I still couldn't get through this woman's head. Like, she's like, I don't like the top, the black bars on the top and bottom. I'm like, you're seeing the whole picture though.
And now we're having a reverse issue to a little bit, and by that I mean there are some movies that were actually shot in 4:3.
Yeah. That
now, because of the way they design TVs, you try to find editions of them, and they're like literally I can only find widescreens. It's like, this wasn't shot in widescreen. Yeah. Why do you have a widescreen edition now? It wasn't shot that way. It was shot 4:3. Like, I will take my black bars on the side. Give me 4:3.
We're gonna have to do a whole episode on aspect ratios because I've always had a weird fascination with aspect ratios. But the thing is, at least I got to see it this movie relatively unaltered for the first time because going back to Goodfellas because we get off on our tangents. Yeah, tangents. Woo! DuckTales is gonna fucking sue us for that. I'm sorry. I actually saw this on. I got the DVD for. I bought it, and I sat down and watched it for the first time. And I actually had the weird DVD where it's side A is part 1 and side B is part 2, so it cuts off halfway through. And I was kind of pissed off about that because the flow of the movie is so fucking beautiful. And it actually this. Because I've always said this is my favorite Scorsese movie. This is actually one of my all-time favorites. So just right off the bat, some of my the 10 in no particular order, the 10 movies that really moved me as an individual and as a filmmaker and want to go out and make films of my own. And we got films like 2001, Lawrence of Arabia, Schindler's List, Private Ryan. Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Citizen Kane, Apocalypse Now, The Shining, and what was the other one? See, I always forget the last couple because I tend to switch them up every once in a while. I think the last one that I had on there for at least for a while was Orson Welles' F for Fake because I love editing. And along with F for Fake, this is the movie that taught me more about editing than any other movie. And I mean, because Thelma Schoonmaker is, hands down, the finest living editor in America right now. And just the way that this story's told and how it's presented and how things are mixed in and the detail of these things and how details really don't matter but they're there anyway. And the use of flash frames and especially the use of needle drop. This movie perfected the needle drop. And needle drop kids, that's where they basically take, pop or regular music and use it to tell the story within the movie. You see movies do it all the time right now, but you can always tell that they never really did it quite well because, I'll be watching a movie and I hear a song that I like. And I'm like, oh, right on. I like this song. Yay. But they edit the song in all these different ways. You literally just can't let the song breathe and have that help drive the narrative. No, the narrative has to drive the song, and the song is just there to be popular and what's not to play to the general audiences and because statistics say audiences will say that they like this and this tested well in an audience. Fuck that, just let the art flow it. I know I'm ranting here, but
you're ranting, but we need to get into this, and I will tell you why, because now you're getting me wanting to talk about stuff, and if I start talking, we're not going to have any of it during the commentary, and people who skip this are going to be like, why didn't they talk about this? It's because we're going to talk about too much of it before we start the commentary.
For real, yeah. That's one of the things that I have been taught is the use of needle drop. And as a matter of fact, I even recently did a tribute to this movie with because the opening song "Rags to Riches" by Tony Bennett. I actually did I cut pretty much a shortened, stylized footage or an abridged version of the movie to that one song, because this whole movie is like a rags to riches story, and I cut it together, and you can check it out on my personal page. I'll put a description in below for you, but so I think, you're right. We probably should get started on this. So, if folks at home, if you have a copy of Goodfellas, I really hope I hope the people listening at home are the ones that have that physical copy in their collection, because it's surprising. It gets all passed around all over between different streaming services. I believe as of this recording, you can find it on Netflix, maybe on
Nope.
Hulu.
Nope, it just dropped. Like when we planned to do this, it was on Netflix, and now it's nowhere.
Well, shit. Well, I mean, you can always, rent it from Vudu or Amazon Prime or Apple TV or YouTube or wherever. Yeah, folks, either way, wherever you got your copy, just have it queued up because we are starting this bad boy in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click.
Okay, before we get into this, I'm going to go right now.
All right, what's up?
I love the fact that the real narrative of this story is in the narration.
Yeah.
And that almost all of the acting itself is really done off of improv. Like, they know their characters, they know what they're doing, but most of those interactions are improv, and the story is kept going by the narrative.
And that makes it feel all the more natural.
Well, yeah, because if you have these people, like, doing it, like, getting into the character and then doing how it feels right to them, even if it's off from the script a bit, that's going to make, as you said, it makes it feel more real. And thankfully, you have the voiceover narration to keep you on track for the story.
And speaking of real, like, people always tend to forget, this was the film explicitly states, this is based on a true story, you guys.
Right, and most of the bits for the voiceover narration are actual quotes from Henry Hill.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
like the actual real person.
Yeah, they actually even got the real Henry Hill to read it to Ray, just so he could get that kind of tone about, because Martin Scorsese always said that this is literally just like, hey, I'm gonna here to tell you a story, like some guy out in the street, like, hey, like. Just leaning out on the stoop on the porch and somewhere in New York or the Bronx and be like, hey, I'm going to tell you a story. And that's how the structure of this movie is. And the rhythm of it is, can we also talk about how brilliant it is that the rear end lights are just in this hellish red light? I love it. And this is a real thing, man. Although
but they didn't. Nope, they just stabbed him about 50 times.
However, I'm glad that they did have that. Oh, wait, hey, best opening line.
With that shot, too.
Oh, dude, that is the absolute right tone. Is like, hey, man, as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Like, it's... Dude, the way that transitions is beyond perfection, and it was right then and there that I'm like, that is probably one of the strongest opening lines in any movie in history. Seriously. But no, I'm glad that they did have him in this movie shoot the guy, because I always jump a little bit when he pulls out the gun. Without hesitation and pulls the trigger. Better than being president of the United States. Man. Okay, so this is probably why I always attribute this being his true magnum opus. Because that image right here of that right there is Scorsese's youth. He was a kid with asthma. He was a kid that was overlooked but was always watching. He was watching the gangsters across the street in his little Italian neighborhood in the 1950s, watching these guys and observing them, and he would see fights across the street, people, these gritty urban brawls between people, and he would be listening to the music in the background in his room, and it wouldn't match, but there was like a weird irony to it, and that's how he really used the needle drop. So this is a movie that only Scorsese probably could have done. And oh man, Paul Sorvino.
And I can't believe that Sorvino almost dropped out of this.
Well, yeah, man, because he couldn't get that coldness right. But as soon as he looked at himself in the mirror with that look, he scared himself, and he's like, all right, I got this.
Right? And, I mean, he's great in it. I mean, this is the movie that made him a household name.
Yeah, man, for real. Now, did you read up about Henry's upbringing? Like his actual upbringing?
A bit. Yeah.
Because apparently this is like a real. If you really look at the real Henry Hill, there's actually a brilliant documentary called Henry Hill, the Real Goodfella, and I'll put a link in the description for you guys. He was dyslexic as a kid, and no one knew why he was acting the way he was or why he was doing so poorly in school. So
because I mean he had all sorts of learning disabilities that nothing was diagnosed at this point in time.
No, and they didn't know how to treat him, so they just kind of like fucking threw him in the corner. I mean, it was to the point where he even couldn't, like, he had to hum the national anthem, and he to the point because like no one would have him. He couldn't sing. He didn't have like a good sense of tune or anything, and he was treated like this, as he put it. I was treated like a fuck up, and there was these guys that were actually accepting of me. And it's because of that shit is that he got that life of crime. And you know how?
Right, and that happens so often in history, though. You look at people who become infamous or do something horrible, they ended up in their associations because that's where they felt accepted.
Yeah, and that's the real tragedy of this, is because you look at this and you're like, dude, we got to hold these kind of stories up as a reason to have reform and to better treat our fellow fucking human being. Am I right?
Right.
Now, this is another moment where I'm like, where, you know, film nuts like myself will always get like a huge movie boner, because just the way that this is presented, everything's tough out, it's quiet, and then boom, smacked him around, and it's super violent, it's ugly, and then freeze.
Yep.
And he doesn't care.
That face.
No. Well, but it's not the face. It's the tone of the voiceover. It's like, hey man, I don't care. Like, this shit happened to me regularly. Like, as a matter of fact, when Ray Liotta was listening to interviews of his witness protection stuff and his testimonies, he was really shocked that the dude was so nonchalant about it. He was literally having a fucking snack while he was talking about killing people.
Yeah. Because you desensitize yourself when you are embroiled in that life.
Yeah, man. Because, you know, now here's another thing about the needle drop. Listen to the music. No, 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 don't. He does the same thing in The Departed. You remember that? Or he just uses the multiple no, and he uses lyrics to comment on the action. And I know that's totally a thing from when he was a kid. He was listening to, you know, his rock and roll and his Italian records and whatnot, and he was looking at this violence across the street, listening to the music, and it weirdly kind of sunk up, and I think that gained him the famous sense of rhythm that he has. Scorsese has rhythm like no one else, and even though I credit, you know, Thelma Schoonmaker to be probably the finest editor in the history of in America right now, Walter Murch is a close second, and his lesson on editing is one that I will take to my grave. And because he always said that continuity really doesn't matter. Editing is actually 70% rhythm. Yeah, that's because this... Now this takes me back, man, right here. The way that this movie moves, man, you just like blink and you miss it in your newest setting. But right here, this is another thing that really spoke to me, because my mother's side of the family were among the first Mexicans in the Chicago Heights area. Like this is like deep thing, and growing up in like the early '90s as a little kid. We used to grow up in neighborhoods exactly like this, and we would have cookouts and family reunions that looked exactly like this. And that's what really it amazed me that this movie got those details right, but it scared me even more that these guys really existed. It gave me that sense that no, this shit was real. It's close, and worse, it's close to home. It's literally in your old backyard. Also, listen to this music cue here. Ready? Although I'll never... Boom, right? Man, how he does that.
When the mob was, you know, at their height, which this is definitely, you know, that time, they they ran stuff and they were awful.
Yeah. Unreal. Actually, it was. Henry was. He see how gleeful he is about like, oh yeah, man, I'm blowing up. The real Henry Hill was fucking terrified of this shit, man.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, it's
respect.
At first it was kind of fun, and then the ever increasing, they keep asking you to do more and more and more.
Yep.
And then you start getting a little scared because of how far you got in.
Oh man, dude, this bit here where he goes past the. I love the little tiny detail that you have all these nuns shoveling these Catholic schoolboys away from this guy. I don't know why, but those tiny little pepper shakes of details are what really blow me away in this movie. And especially like the old Pepsi Cola signs from back in the day. For some reason, I don't. It's kind of the same vibe that he gets from like the use of the music. He uses these certain tracks, like this one here, to just kind of instill a sense of nostalgia.
And
even if you weren't around,
but right here, what a great song though, because it's like this is him up and coming.
Mm-hmm. All over the place, man. Oh. Hey.
So what I love here is
real money,
De Niro,
bitches.
Yeah, De Niro hated the feel of fake money, so he insisted on using real money. And so the prop master gave him $5,000, but then was an absolute stickler. After every take, he would not let the movie start back up till he had all 5,000 back and counted out.
Yeah, for real, man. They even had like armed guards for that shit too.
Yep.
It was fucking crazy. But you know what? I guess if you really want to feel like a fucking badass pimp of a gangster walking in, you'll probably want to use that real money.
Right.
Man, dude, seriously, these freeze frames. I know, like, Scorsese has said many, many times that every time there's a freeze frame, it's a pivotal moment in Henry Hill's life, which I love. But, man, I don't know, there's just something about it. Because, in many ways that they talk about how the style is almost borderline a documentary, because there's so much information. And, there's another thing that I really get nuts, that really just amazes me, is, like, how they were filming these scenes. Because, you'll have these scenes of, like, dialogue and of narration going over people talking, as if the dialogue that they said on set really doesn't matter. And you'll have shit going on in the background. Like, earlier you saw Tootie writing up a pink slip, and you'll see guys going through boxes and clothes and, a whole bunch of different thrift items. But it's all background, and it feels so fucking real. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, man, this is also how what Henry Hill was doing. He was dealing illegal cigarettes out of a trunk.
Yep.
Although I know this is like one of those things that we track up on this show is movie bullshit, but he would never have that giant, crumple of bills in his hand to hand them back and forth because that's just asking for one dude to just take the whole thing and just bolt. But it's done for the visual, and that's okay. Oh, geez.
I love he has no idea what he's doing.
No. Well, I mean, remember, the guy was a fucking kid. I mean,
the smile, the head nod, like that judge just bought it.
Yeah, man. But the real Henry Hill, he didn't actually learn. He admitted he never learned his ABCs until like his fucking 20s, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then of course we've got the most important lesson he ever learned, right here.
Didn't learn too well.
And always keep your mouth shut.
As I said, didn't learn too well.
No. And for real, man, when he was not I know a lot of people are like, oh, he was like in this from day one. No, man, he tried to get out his whole life. After.
No, he tried to get out until he was involved in murdering a made man. At that point, he knew he was fucked.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, this movie jumps from like the 50s all the way to the 60s. In that 10-year period, you know what's another way he actually tried to get out? He enlisted in the Army. Yeah, he enlisted in the Army. He was in the 82nd Airborne, but he was still loan sharking. He was doing all this fucking criminal, because that's the shit that he knew how to do. So he had to live and survive in that shit. But he actually stole an officer's car and got dishonorably charged. And then he wound up back here in New York in the 60s, where they wound up doing all these rackets where they steal from the airport.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously, dude, it just blows my mind, just the sheer amount of detail that Scorsese uses. Because, again, there's all these scenes where you have, these actors who have, like, lines and specific things and parameters, and there are things going on and certain truths you need to understand about it. And then as soon as you get to the editing process, all that shit's thrown out the window to have narration and music slapped over it in these crazy, frenetic editing. And I'm like, that's so crazy that you would have that you would do that kind of thing. Oh yeah, and then this is one of my favorite tracking shots. As a matter of fact, I was so in love with this movie as a kid. When you're in high school, you always want to make that mob movie. And as a matter of fact, I even talked to my mother about all the old nicknames that they would give him. Like there was an Uncle Goodbar. There was my papa, my grandfather. He was Uncle Fatty because he was a big guy. Or at least in his youth, like he slimmed down in the Army. But you had these nicknames back then, and I wanted to know all about them from my mother's side, so I could write myself like a little mini mob movie. And it was very much on this style, man. Never got made because I could never find the amount of people to work with. But I think I still have the script lying somewhere in deep archived files somewhere. I think it was called A Memoir from the Mafia.
So here's what I love. Yeah. That guy right there who's playing the proprietor of the Bamboo Lounge, he actually worked at the Bamboo Lounge in real life. When he was a young guy. And I thought that's cool as hell. Casting somebody who actually worked there as the proprietor.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
You know what's so weird? The way that they describe their lifestyle. How they are basically rock stars with muscle. Or movie stars with muscle is what they call them, which is so seductive. Do you have?
Hey, look, two movies in a row. Look who shows up.
I know, right? As a matter of fact, the other guy, his brother, that was Henry's father. You saw beating him.
Oh yeah,
that was totally him. How fucking great is that?
They both show up.
Oh man, dude, I love that push-in shot where it just zooms in right on Robert De Niro as he takes that puff of cigarette. Oh shit. So this actually was like a legit thing. The only difference is, the guy who they're talking to, he was just an informant on it. He didn't have access. But you know how they actually distracted the guy that did?
Yep, they got him drunk and got him a prostitute.
Yeah, because apparently they listened in on him, and apparently his big weakness was women. So they got him fucking drunk.
And as soon as he dropped his pants, they stole his keys, made a copy, and Bob's your uncle.
Yep, walked right in and waltzed out with over $1 million. Oh, of course. Now we have arguably one of the most famous scenes of the movie. A scene that spawned a fucking spinoff on Animaniacs.
Well,
as far back as I can remember,
this is actually based off of an encounter Pesci himself had with a mobster.
Oh yeah, everyone. And I'm just really glad that they kept that in here. Although it's still not the funniest thing that I've heard about Joe Pesci in relation to this movie. Do you know what really is?
Are you talking about the damn music video? Because we don't talk about that.
Yes.
We don't talk about that.
So
what I love about this scene, though, is that only Pesci and Ray knew what was coming. Yeah. All the extras were not prepped, so their reactions are legit.
Yep. You know, for all the Scorsese homages there are, I'm actually kind of surprised there wasn't a parody of this scene in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. Like you're totally ripping off of like all of Scorsese's movies. Like, how do you not rip off this one?
Too obvious at that point,
I guess. Yeah, we're like, no, we actually want to win an Oscar with this one. So, but yeah, man, it's crazy how this scene got inspired an entire Animaniacs sub-show with GoodFellas.
Which I loved.
I fucking love GoodFellas. I also love the God Pigeon, how he... The God Pigeon, he says this. I approve. The God Pigeon approves of this scene.
So, something I want to point out right here.
Wait. Silence. Seriously, the tension on that silence is nuts.
So, something I love is that Scorsese was such a stickler for accuracy. He would raise tie every day to make sure it was period accurate.
Oh yeah, man. And you know what's even crazier? His parents, who appear in the movie, they actually press the suits in the middle, in between takes, which is crazy. That's some dedication right there. That is some supportive parenting.
Yeah.
Especially for some really, old school Catholics for a movie with so much fucking swearing. As a matter of fact, Scorsese's mom saw the film for the first time, and she's like, this is a really great movie. Why do they have to curse so much? But the thing is, people forget that's how these fucking guys talked,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
As a matter of fact, okay, so there was this is a few summers ago. I worked for a guy, I was doing some landscaping. For a guy I am convinced was a guy in witness protection against the mafia. Because this guy was, in his late, this is, about 5-7 years ago. This guy was in his late 70s, and he cursed up a storm. He was rude. He was loud. He was piggish. He was an asshole. He didn't pay me for the fucking job because said I didn't do a good enough job, even though I fucking broke my back on it. So I'm not, and you know what? Talking to him, I believe this is how these guys acted, because
yeah.
And that's the other thing.
Well, I mean,
what's up?
Like, what Henry even talks about, like, because you don't see Paulie in this movie do a whole lot of stuff, but like, he talked about Paulie and him were riding in a car. Paulie tells him to stop. He gets out and starts beating a woman up because she owed him money.
Oh yeah,
like,
with a fucking baseball bat.
To town. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, he pulls up to this fucking bar, He looks at Henry, and a little young Henry who'd never seen this side of him before. And he's like, "Hey, watch this!" Pulls out a baseball bat out in the back of the car and just beats this woman to death, and then just comes back in. And he's like, "All right, you want to go get some, go get a fucking steak for lunch?" It's crazy.
Because she owed him money. It's just
man.
That's like, they always, there's so much of the talk of like, well, they don't do women. They don't no, they don't give a shit.
No, seriously, that's why The Godfather is a better film than this. It is a high work of art, and it's beautiful, but it's operatic, but it's still a fantasy. This is what it is. And you know what? There's a quote that I read that perfectly sums up, I think, everything about those two movies. The Godfather is how the mafia wants to be seen. Goodfellas is how they actually were. That's what it was. Because these guys weren't because The Godfather tends to uphold all these virtues of honor, loyalty, family, and that sort of thing. These guys were fucking psychopaths, man.
Quick interruption. Right now in this scene, Paul wasn't given a lot of the dialogue. Like, a lot of it, he was unknown going in. So his surprise at being asked this stuff is legit because they wanted to keep that authenticity.
Yeah, man, that's how it works. And you know what's even crazier is if you watch the takes in between, you'll see every once in a while where he'll have the cigar in his mouth like this, and it cuts away. Watch, when it cuts away, it's still in there, but it'll cut back and forth where it doesn't match the continuity. But see right here.
Yeah, like quick.
But you know what? That's the brilliance of
it. We've talked about that with Scorsese. He doesn't let little continuity things mess up a good shot.
Because it's not because he understands in cinema that shit doesn't matter. It's like, oh, it doesn't match. Well, then if that's what they're noticing in this scene, then they're not into the movie, Oh, and see, this is the kind of stuff that I was talking about, where they have all these sequences with this dialogue between these two guys where they're doing business. They got all these extras going back and forth, all this activity going on, and it's thrown out the window for narration. This is a whole subplot that you basically could have done MOS guy, for you non-film people. That's when they film without sound. But it's crazy. They just it's the detail in these sequences. And I also love, because again, I kind of was like, oh man, I really wish Hoodlum explained a little bit more to what they were doing on. This is why I think Goodfellas really helps, because they constantly explain not just what they're feeling, but the inner workings of what they do and their attitude towards it too. Because and I just I just realized this because you mentioned it when we did The Departed for the beginning of the month. This movie really doesn't have a plot, does it?
Well, no, it's a character study, and there's certainly other characters, and there's vignette moments, and now we're going to get into one of my biggest beefs with the way the story's done.
Yeah, what's that?
So, it's coming up because this whole scene is setting up, obviously, the meet.
Oh, with Karen?
Yes. And Karen is honestly my biggest problem with this movie.
Oh, really?
Don't get me wrong. I love her performance. But when you find stuff out like, oh, Karen was having an affair with Paulie.
Oh, yeah,
they made Karen in this movie seem the devoted wife and the victim almost perpetually. And here's Karen out sleazing around with the other mobsters just as Henry's out sleazing around with his mistresses.
Yep.
So it's like she ain't innocent in this.
No, she really isn't. As the witness protection guy at the end of the movie goes, "Don't play that Babe in the Woods shit with me." Like,
exactly.
I mean, this movie. Yeah, you're right, because this movie does kind of downplay that a little bit.
Yeah, and that's my big thing. Is like they play her off as like more innocent. And it's like she really wasn't.
You know what? Maybe if Scorsese was allowed to do a 3-hour movie, they would have done that. Because there's a lot of other things in there.
I mean, I don't know that they would have necessarily vilified or on top of the fact, like, so one of the reasons that oh my gosh, Pesci's character, what's his name? Help me out. Tommy.
Tommy.
one of the reasons that speculated for Tommy being hit is the fact that, as I said, Paulie was having an affair with Karen.
Yep.
And Tommy tried to rape Karen at one point.
Yep.
Now, as awful as these people are, I think there's some lines they were not trying to necessarily cross just because they had to still get an R rating.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm actually kind of amazed that this movie in 1990 got this rating because,
right?
I mean, because we talked about in Scarface how it was like the most uses of the word "fuck" ever in a movie at that time.
Yeah, until this one.
Yeah, until this. This one is the one that blew it out of the water. I think now it's like number 15 overall.
Right.
Because and you know what's funny? Do you know how many times they use the word "fuck" in this movie?
312?
Actually, exactly 300. At least that's what I remember. Yeah, man, it's. And as a matter of fact, they didn't even want to have that much cursing. It was just because of the improv where the fucks just added up.
Well, yeah, because that's how these guys were.
Well, yeah, of course.
No, fuck and its derivatives are used 321 times in this movie.
Shit, man. That's a lot of fucking cursing. See, this is why we put the this series is explicit label on literally all our platforms. Jesus. Lorraine Bracco doesn't get enough praise for this movie. I mean, you know what's crazy? She actually got the Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
I mean, I'm not surprised. She does do a great job. As I said, my issue's not with her performance. Her performance is spot on.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they make her seem too innocent.
Yeah, which is crazy because even in the context of the movie, she's not that innocent.
No.
She's really not, but in real life, she was even worse.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the most jerked off, #1 best directing shot of all time. You like it, your dad likes it, this is the best one ever. It's dynamic and shit.
You're gonna stop, you're gonna stop cribbing History Buff's review of this and start having your own commentary at some point?
Maybe. Well, for those of you who don't know, they History Buff's one of my favorite YouTube channels. He totally riffs on how overly jerked off this shot is. But if you want, he actually does a review of this movie in terms of historical accuracy, and I'll also link in the description for him, give him a little shout out for him, because it's really quite good. And seriously, the stories behind this are fucking fascinating. But but you know what? For all the hype aside, I really do love this shot. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, it's a great cinematic moment for sure.
Well, it's also I appreciate the fact that it's not a gimmick. It is done absolutely deliberately because Scorsese has said that this is where his whole life ahead of him, and this is to bring Karen into his life in the most glamorous way possible.
However,
that's power.
It is. However, do you know this shot was not originally planned? It ended up becoming a thing because they were requiring the cameraman to go through the back.
They
wouldn't let the equipment go through the front door.
Yep.
And so they're like, well, fuck it. If we got to do that anyway, let's do it this way.
Yep. And you know what? It just made it all the more powerful. Because, by God, because this is how you show that this is the entrance of the most glamorous lifestyle.
Right. And so I want to point something out here right now because I feel it's a good time.
What's that?
After when this movie came out, a lot of mobsters and stuff tried to make a claim that Henry Hill was more of a hanger-on and really wasn't like that deep in the mob.
Yeah.
Not that deeply associated. And all I had to say to that is, how could somebody not deeply associated get testify and get convictions on 50 of you?
Yeah, man. They just don't want his rep to look too good.
Right.
But so we had this great tracking shot, and I love the fact that the punchline, the final thing in the shot, is the great Henny Youngman. Oh, I love this guy. Take my wife, please. I take my wife everywhere she finds her way home. Oh, I love, I know it's like real peak boomer humor and whatnot, but I genuinely love Henny Youngman and his stand-up stuff, man. Yeah, here it is, the heist where, when you think of heist, you think of like all the other movies and whatnot, where it's guns blazing, getaway cars, and, radios and whatnot. No, man, this is just the thing where they had the fucking key. They turned the key, walk in, walk out, no hassle, boom, $1 million payoff.
No.
Oh, okay, so
420.
Okay, so about $500,000. That's right. This is the 70s, so back then this was like what, maybe $5 million adjusted. Jesus.
So actually, for anyone who's gambling inclined or looking to get into it, speaking of craps is actually one of the best things to gamble on if you're going to gamble, because some of the bets in it actually pay the true odds of those things happening.
Yeah.
So it's one of the few games of chance in a casino where the odds are not in the house's favor. They're actually straight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little complicated to learn, but good thing to know.
Yes. And of course, one of the other things that this movie does not mention that these guys totally were involved in were shaving points off of betting. Like they would, as a matter of fact, after the famous Lufthansa heist, they would use that money. I think it was Jimmy who took his cut from the Lufthansa heist and used it to shave points off up in Boston, and made like a whole bunch of money off of that.
Yep.
Which is nuts, man. Like, these guys were into everything.
Yeah. 21.
Yeah.
Whew.
See, I think that's one of the things that, like, they don't have the budget to make them quite look young, because, they have, Jimmy
also the technology at the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, with the Irishman, he's totally using that kind of technology for that sort of thing to great effect. Oh, yeah. I love how that's clearly a string, and I love how how it cuts with the pool.
Well, I love the fact that Scorsese literally saw an old New York commercial for Windows, liked it so much, he found the guy who made it and brought him in to make that commercial to make it look period accurate.
Well, even better, and that's a really wonderful attention to detail. But even better is that even in that commercial, you can see the sleaze and the lies, because the way it cuts is where he jumps into the pool and then he comes back up. His hair is totally dry. Like 100%, and just by looking at this guy from face value, you can tell that he is a fucking crook. I love that. It's just a single cut tells you his entire character. I love that. But yeah, man, right here is where you realize that these guys do not fuck around when it comes to their money.
But it's gotten to the point where it's like, to him, it's just funny now because he's already become that desensitized.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's what's so fucking terrifying. Jesus Christ.
It makes you wonder how many places she had to call around to track him down.
Oh, I know, right? Because he's all over the place. I mean, he could be at a bar, he could be at, up street and downtown, or he could have been in some other shop or wherever. shit. Also, man, I'm just so impressed with the cars that these guys were able to get for this movie. You know, I mean, I know most of these by this point these cars are only about 20, 25 years old at most or whatnot. But I'm still like, damn.
Well, you also have to think about the fact that wait, are you talking about you're impressed they're able to get the cars?
Well, just all this detail, and not just in the cars, but in the clothes and all the little set decorations and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, they do a very good job of getting the period right. I agree with that.
Just for like a sheer 25 mil, all this. Oh, now this shot here, man.
Yeah, Ray actually had a death in the family. I think it was his mom died of cancer when this movie was being made. And so he channeled his anger from her death into his performance. And he mentions this scene in particular.
Dude. Ah, God. Dude, seriously, to have this in the wide shot, buried in a long take, is such a ballsy thing for a director to do. God, dude, seriously, the way stunt work for that.
What I love is that, like, what are you doing? These guys are from a world where they think, oh, it's going to be a fight, it's going to be fists. And it's like, that's not the real world.
No.
It's like the real world is, if somebody's going to mess you up, they're not coming at you honorably. They're coming at you any way they can.
Seriously, though, but the power of having it in the wide shot, unbroken, where he's shot full with that power walk from across the street. And, he does the blood and the stunt work all in the same shot. And you can tell that, that these guys are just begging you to bury it in a couple of shots and whatnot. But no, he sticks to that power. And watch this. Dude, these freeze frames with the flashes.
Yeah.
Dude, they're like gunshots. I love that. Subliminally.
Look at that cake.
God. Right, dude? When your wedding is financed by the mafia, it's gonna be a spectacle.
Actually, my grandmother used to make wedding cakes of that level of ridiculousness.
No way! How about that?
Uh-huh.
Whew. Oh, there's Mom. Good. And I also love that all this dialogue is just mixed in, where you only get little snippets.
Yep.
And the use of slow motion, too. By the way, did you also notice that he used slow motion when Karen came out of the house to get that gun from him?
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't pick up on that shot.
But I don't know if it was necessarily intentional or they needed to slow it down for the narration to fit.
No, because they were clearly over-cranking the camera for that shot. That's because that's one of the reason why you can check those. But oh man, because I maybe it was just him being a little coy with himself about the way he shot many of the fight scenes for Raging Bull. Oh my God, these. Just look at how they edit this one right after another.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. I'm just trying to think how much they actually shot and how they had to whittle it down to this.
Right.
It's nuts to really think about it.
And she's just wide-eyed at the size of the line.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh, God.
And I even love that they even highlight her eyes for that. That's the other thing. They make Lorraine look good in this movie, especially in those eyes.
So something I love that he talks about, no one's going to steal that here. Something that didn't make it into this movie, Henry would actually talk about how safe mob neighborhoods are.
Oh, yeah.
A guy followed an old woman home one night and broke in with the intent to rob or assault her. And because the neighborhood, like, was paying attention and had eyes on her, in less than a minute, all the guys from the neighborhood rushed in, grabbed the guy, dragged him out, and beat him to a pulp.
Yeah, man. It's when you're under the mob protection, boy, it's nothing else. But unfortunately, shit like that comes with a price, you know?
Exactly. It's super dangerous. Like, it's safer to a level, but if you cross them at all, you're dead.
you're gonna get fucking whacked, like, and hard. You ain't gonna see a thing coming.
So, oh my gosh, the stereotypical Jewish mother.
Yeah, well, even also, you just gotta love how, you know, her dad is practically comatose throughout this entire scene, and for all you know, the entire damn movie, like, he's just kind of sitting there. God. Now, this right here should have been the red flag for Karen to get out. It really should, or not. Well, not even that. She even mentioned it herself, like the fucking gun.
Right.
That should have been like the red flag. Although, I mean, look, I get that she was kind of turned on by that. Every girl loves the bad boy and whatnot. This right here should have told her, like, no, this shit ain't lasting. You know? Especially when you have Tommy yelling out the window. We're like, what the fuck kind of people are they? You know? Oh, dude, man, those did you hear that? That sound design with the transition where it just kind of, they curve away and then they use the sound effects sampled in these songs to transition it. God, he's fucking brilliant. Oh, God. Seriously, the way that they edit, not only they edit this and they do the sound design and have these signature kind of push-ins or these tracking shots along with it, especially like these push-ins like here, I feel claustrophobic too. Do you ever feel a little claustrophobic when you're sitting in this? Like, if you were sitting here in this room,
a little bit, and
And you know what? In the hands of a lesser director, this entire scene probably would have been filmed at a Dutch angle.
Yeah,
you know, because
what I love here is the fact that, you know, that one woman who's being worked on has the mark on her face, and it's clear, like, she got hit probably by her husband.
Yeah. They were beat up.
Yeah.
But seriously, I feel when it's the way it cuts like this, along with these ugly close-ups, and boom, 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 boom. I actually feel like
it does a great job of conveying how overwhelmed Karen was feeling.
Yeah, man, and that's good because I feel like if I'm sitting in a room with these people, that's what this movie is really all about. Is, hey, what's it really like sitting in a room full of these people?
Right.
And as a matter of fact,
I love that line. He wanted to get away from her.
That is so fucking arrogant, Henry.
Of course it is. But how else are you going to delude yourself that what you're doing is fine?
Yep. And then once again, the sex in these really violent mob movies really mild by comparison. Right. But that's probably because the MPAA is like, dude, this movie's really violent and profane. Like, can you just like tone it down? I mean, who knows? Maybe maybe it was a little extended or whatnot, or not. I don't know. Like, because again, they layer this shit with dialogue so much. All right, right here. Watch this. Oh shit! The way they, you know, there's not a whole lot of times where I feel like slaps are very intimidating. These guys make it fucking intimidating. Oh my god. God. The sound of them gunshots, I swear.
Yeah.
Let's see, that's another big red flag, because that's
right. But see,
that's
that
cult
also
kind of thinking.
Right, but that also goes back to my whole thing about like, oh, he wasn't really involved. Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, for real.
He wasn't that involved. There's no outsiders. He's with these people all the time.
Well, it's not even just that, but yeah.
Well, and I get it. You know, they're gonna say not that involved because sure, he couldn't be made. He couldn't actually be in. However, guess what? You're making a lot of money for the mob. The mob's gonna pay attention, and Jimmy was making a lot of money for him, and he was in Jimmy's crew.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Really, it's the thing that scares me the most is that cult kind of thinking, where he's like, this is literally the only life all of them ever really know because they don't have anything to compare it to, you know?
Yeah.
That's why it's fucking normal, these people, even though it's far from normal, from the truth. Because they don't have any frame of reference for what we feel and how we live our lives, you know? And that's the scary thing, because it becomes a cult. Even though it's like one of the... Now this sequence here with the photographs. I used to look at, the photos, from my family from like the 80s and 70s and whatnot. They looked exactly like this. It's kind of... It legit kind of scares me, actually. Because I see photographs like that, and I immediately have flashbacks of, like, all those old photos that my ma and I would go through every once in a while when we do our spring cleaning. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I love this song.
Oh, who doesn't, man? And I think that's the reason why they use that shit. Well, that's why they use that, man. They got to have that shit to draw you in and give it that class. Because they make the mob looks fucking, the most amazing time ever. And speaking of most amazing times ever, the way they do this. Damn!
What man? As if a man has to be convinced.
It just, all right. Oh, shit. And once again, that needle drop going on, because they had this discipline, and one that I tried to carry over when I was first starting out, and thank God never did. Not because, I didn't make it, but just because didn't want to be embarrassed by this shitty-ass movie that I made as a teenager. But no, like, they had this discipline in this movie, and this kind of carries over to a lot of his other mob movies. Any song that they use for needle drop, it has to have, whatever date this is within the context of the movie, it has to be at least 3 years old.
Yeah.
So that way it gives that contextualization of what time period you are and where you are, and it adds to that level of authenticity. Oh, Billy Bats.
So, something that they don't include in here, but besides the ball busting, one of the main reasons that they end up whacking Billy is because Jimmy and his crew had taken over Billy's rackets when he went into jail, and they didn't want to give him back. They wanted to keep making that money.
Yeah, man. Oh, shit. The fucking shine box. The motherfucking shine box. Oh, just watch Joe Pesci's performance here, man. Just look at just watch his eyes. Hey, you know what? I bet it would be really great. Someone needs to redub this thing So, but not Joe Pesci, just Billy Batts here. Redo it so it's Billy Batts making fun of Joe Pesci's rap single "Wise Guy," because it would just be like, yeah, that fucking rap single fucking sucked.
Can we not talk again? Can we not talk about it again? Stop cribbing History Buffs.
Oh no. I actually found out about that before I watched History Buffs, and I thought it was fucking great. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I was reading up on Joe Pesci, because remember, this guy won the Academy Award for this movie, and I was reading up on him mostly because of his return to acting for the Irishman. And I was looking up his career and just kind of going down a weird rabbit hole like you do. And I saw that he made a single, and I'm like, wait, what? And I looked it up, and I'm like, this is stupid and amazing. I love and hate this. This is, oh my God, this is dumb. I love it. I promise you, I will link a description in the below for you guys, because it's amazing. You gotta listen to it. Joe Pesci does a gangster rap called Wise Guy. It's amazing. But I do want, just someone to do a read edit of him, just be like getting all pissed off about it. Oh, here we go.
And they don't really cover this, but this club that they're in was owned by Henry.
Oh yeah, that's right. And of course, this was a kind of.
And that's why you see him at the end there looking at the books. He owns the club.
Yep, and this is why he's an accessory to Billy Batts' murder. Just watch the editing of this. Boom! What you see how they speed it up to get that kind of effect? Because they use these editing tricks to give them like a hyper real quality to them. Like if you were punched that hard, you'd probably be speeding up your frames too. Oh,
I love the fact you can just see the blood fly.
Yeah, the blood going right onto him. Boom! Damn! And now every time, a lot of these songs are ingrained into my head because of this movie, because every time I hear this song, all I hear is just Billy Batts getting the fuck beat out of him. Or if I hear Layla by Eric Clapton and I hear the piano exit at the end, all I see are dead bodies. That's it. That's just it. That's dead bodies like everywhere, like meat locker, garbage bag, Cadillac, all over. But you know what? That's kind of what good movies do, right? Is they take songs, they take songs, and they will ingrain memories into you. Oh, I love this fucking scene, man. I get into his mother's house, and also the house that my grandmother lived in when I was a kid. Looked uncannily like this. So again, a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing on screen,
and
feels,
of course we know this is her big moment.
Yeah, Mama Scorsese. But for real, man, it's just uncanny. Even my grandmother even had those same glasses and that hair. So when I was watching this movie for the first time and many times since, I'm always uncomfortable how close this movie is to where I was, in my life growing up. It blows my mind, actually. And also, you gotta love how their mother literally stops to cook them a fine meal probably at like 3 a.m.
Okay, so but.
The ketchup on the steak?
He was so specific about wanting to do things how Jimmy did that he literally like the actual Henry Hill had to eventually call and tell him because he wanted to know exactly how Jimmy would have dealt with ketchup.
Oh yeah, hell, he even had talked to Jimmy to Jimmy Burke in prison, and he was telling him like how to fucking hold a cigarette and all these little tiny specific things too. Yeah,
and he would be after he first got a hold of Henry, he would be calling him multiple times a day trying to figure out accuracies.
Yeah, man. I mean, what the hell else are you gonna do in prison? Am I right?
No, not Jimmy. He was also calling Henry.
I know Jimmy called Bobby De Niro too a lot too.
Yeah.
So and besides, I can understand now. I mean, what the hell else are you gonna do in prison?
Well, or on witness protection, I guess. But
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was Jimmy was he was doing
Jimmy
time.
was in prison, but he was okay. He was calling Henry a lot though too. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Okay, I got you. I love that. But seriously, it's got to be just like your Catholic ma cooking you a full-blown meal at like 3 in the morning, or God knows how late they are.
Right.
Oh, and I love this picture.
And that painting was actually done by the co-scriptwriter, who's the guy who wrote the book.
Yeah,
called Wise Guy. That this is made.
Nick Pallegrini, is that it?
Yep.
Or Nicholas Pileggi, excuse me.
Yeah.
Although, you know what's actually fun? I actually have a print of that painting hanging up because, yeah, I thought, man, if I could have a prop from this movie, what would be fun? And I thought, hey, that'd be a real fun replica to make. And then we're back to the beginning. And did you see how he opens the trunk and then it goes to that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And that brief freeze frame on the muzzle flash.
Yeah. Oh man, the way they pump up the reds on that's some good shit. But yeah, that was kind of the turning point for Henry was Billy Batts, man. That's where he's like, I'm fucked, no matter what. Oh man, that's another thing that I thought that chills me how casual it is, you know. And then you gotta watch what you say, man. You gotta watch what you fucking say in front of these guys, because just as Henry was saying, like they get into old arguments over nothing, and before you knew it, one of them would be dead. And that's kind of how Scorsese likes to portray his violence. Is just honest. He wanted it to be so sudden it felt accidental. Yeah, that woman's probably really lucky she's in a crowd right now, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If this was at home, she'd probably have like a whiskey glass cracked over her head.
Yeah.
Especially if it was from the wrong guy,
Oh yeah.
Oh, what a wonderful song for this. Where you pretend you don't see a shit, man. You're looking the other way, because these girlfriends are not associated with the wives. This is the way they backstab, and they just turn a blind eye to that shit. Oh, that's how you direct a movie right there. That's how you use music. Okay? You don't just like throw together an assembly cut, pick your song, and then just kind of edit the song to kind of awkwardly fit. No. You find them, because like I said, editing is 70% rhythm. And if you have a song to drive the scene, get that song first and have the song drive the scene. It'll make it much better, and it'll flow so much more beautifully. Because you hear a really prime example, big Hollywood tentpole movie, uses Did you see Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how they bring back the Beastie Boys Sabotage song?
Yeah.
When you actually put it in, like, they hit play on the track, like, let's make some noise, they'll play it, and the song kind of jumps all over the place to fit the action and whatnot. Now, can you imagine if they're like, okay, we're committing to this song, now let's actually try to let that song, like, actually drive the musical, the action a little bit. I mean, yeah, if you want to trim a little bit and whatnot, that's fine, but
no, actually, that method actually resulted in one of my favorite shows ever.
Oh, what's that?
Cowboy Bebop. Almost all the music was written before they'd done the animation or a lot of the scripts.
Fuck yeah,
and they did it to make it, and it so worked.
Yeah, dude, are you kidding me? Like, even when I saw Cowboy Bebop for the first time, this is back when I was a real snob against anime. Now I actually really enjoy it. When I first watched it, they're like, "Oh, you gotta see this."
And I love that right there. That needle drop, and then like just before the scene cuts, but it's coming, and it kind of gets you going.
Yep. That's some good shit right there. But no, yeah, I was watching Cowboy Bebop first time. Didn't really get into it. I think I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, this is okay. But the music is fucking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one thing that I really took away, and that's the whole reason why I came back, and now it's like one of my all-time favorites. But yeah, you're right. When you have music
this right here, though, is oof.
Again, and I love that they keep the motif of those rear headlights,
Yeah.
And how it's literally hell just emerging to come and get him. And I love how nonchalant these guys are. Oh, fucking hell. God.
So, yeah, I have a very sensitive nose, and this just seems like the absolute hell to me.
Mm-hmm. Dude, at that fucking point, I would say just get rid of the fucking car,
Right?
Get rid of the fucking car, get that shit over to a junkyard, crush that thing, get a new one. Because, I mean, shit, man. You would have thought that they would have brought like a tarp or something for that, Oh my God. And that's another thing this movie talks about is like, that Henry only had like 1 or 2 girlfriends on the side while he was with Karen and whatnot. No, he had like a shitload of them. There was a whole string.
Oh yeah.
Like, it wasn't just these 2 here. As a matter of fact, I want to say that literally all these gals, Henry Hill's had his dick in like almost every one of them. I'd like to think that's like what they were trying to go for. Yeah, this fucking push in. God damn. That's one of the most violent things I've ever seen, man. God. Look at the power in these eyes, man. And just in that body language.
I love the fact that, like, that little bump trip there wasn't intentional, but they kept it in because it worked so well.
Oh, man. Yeah, it does.
Oh, this scene.
Motherfucking
man.
Spider! Shit. And you know what's crazy? Like, it's nuts. Now, I don't know if it totally is, but according to the real Henry Hill, this also really happened, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there was only one line of dialogue in here that was actually, like, scripted and locked into this. And that's when he's like, hey, why don't you go fuck yourself, Tommy? Because the dialogue, the way this shit rolls around, man. Oh, my God. And you know what's also really brilliant that no one else talks about? The guy that they get to play Spider, I'm so glad that they kind of cast this kid that kind of looks like the kid that they cast for young Henry Hill.
I mean, a little bit, but
Well, different enough.
And he would go on, obviously, to play, to star in The Sopranos.
Fuck me, yeah. There's a lot of Sopranos alumni on this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Christ. And these guys just like, nah, yeah, that was a really good game. Totally unfazed. But no, I really love that they kind of cast the guy to kind of, sort of, you could think that, hey, maybe this guy is like a cousin to the young version of Henry, but there's just enough resemblance where you subliminally think, hey man, that kid, that spider kid, that could have been Henry as a kid,
Yeah.
That's the real thing about it, is that easily could have been him at the cab stand. Like, he was just serving drinks or a sandwich.
Yep.
He gets it wrong or something. One of the guys pulls up a gun and fucking shoots him in the foot. And just to look tough, he's like, why don't you go fuck yourself? And they fucking kill him.
Yep.
That's the nature of this life, man. Is that it can claim you at any time. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man, the way they cut that yell. Oh, I love that. Yeah, seriously, that kid right there, that could have been Henry as a kid at the cab stand back in the day. Now we know, we talked about how there was a lot of there was real money used when Jimmy Conway comes in for the first time. I wonder if that's real money too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Might be.
At this distance, it's hard to see.
Well, I mean, at any distance. I mean, most prop money is actually pretty good, from what I've seen, because they only have like, this is made for. It's usually, this is not actual currency. Is really, really tiny, actually, and hardly ever shows up in close-up. But then, yeah, this shit right here. God damn. All right, there's one small little touch that I really wish Scorsese got, but in a weird way, I'm also glad that he didn't, because it makes the scene just that much more shocking.
What's that?
When Tommy's just sitting there, just kind of simmering and just like with rage, ready to pull out his gun and shoot him while they're all like, joking and laughing.
Right.
I almost wish that they had a plume of cigarette smoke in front of his face. As if he's simmering with rage visually.
This is like the halfway point.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what's nuts, is that you're kind of like, where else is it gonna go? Look at this already.
Yeah, actually, right there, where that's actually where it skips over on the DVD, and that's why I was so fucking frustrated when I watched it for the first time. I'm like, hey, what? No, you're doing this side A, side B shit. No, keep going. You're ruining the flow of the movie. Which is why I really hope you cats out there are watching this on the Blu-ray.
To me, it sounds like the DVD you had was before they were doing dual layering.
I don't know. It's just like they think the original DVD release for GoodFellas was just really primitive, because I don't know, they didn't think it was going to be any good or something. But a lot of people must have got pissed off about it and were like, "No, we want the full thing," and that's why the Blu-ray version is a lot more superior. Oh man, dude, this shit right here. Can you imagine waking up to this shit? Fuck.
Oh.
Now, you're right. Even when she's doing, like, fucked up shit like this, yeah, she is still a little too innocent. She probably should have lost her innocence a lot sooner in the movie.
Right.
Like, there probably should have been some, either like a one moment or a small string or like a montage of things from her perspective, where you can be like, no, she's gone. She's fucking gone.
You know what this makes me wonder, though?
What's that?
Where do you get cartridges without powder in them? Because there are bullets in that gun, and you know the only way you are filming that is if you have bullets in there that have no powder. Because you're not having a gun and a camera that expensive that could accidentally go off.
Oh, you know what it probably is? They're probably like actually welded in there. So like the bullets are there, but the gunpowder's out. Yeah, because you know prop guys, they do a whole bunch of these things to hold up, even in close up, man.
Right, but it's just a matter of like I don't know how that like what they do, but they do something. I'm like I wonder what they do. That's all.
Yeah, well, what they probably did was they, you know, took the actual bullet casings, the bullets out of the casing, dumped the gunpowder, and then put the bullets back in, and they just either glued it or welded it into the gun itself. So it looks loaded, but it's completely non-firing. So that's probably what it was. And it helps that this gun is not fired in this scene.
Yeah.
You know. Now don't you just, this is intense, man. And I'm actually kind of, you know, it almost makes me think that Scorsese kept this entire performance in the wide shot without cutting away, without doing it again, because it was too intense for the actors.
You know, it could be.
That's because when you really look at that, when you see that performance, the way he tugs on her hair and the way she's shaking and contorts her legs around him, fuck, dude, like, it's intense. And as an actor, emotionally, that shit's hard to deal with. So I'm almost thinking, you know, Scorsese was taking mercy on him and, like, he's like, no, we're not going to do this multiple times. We're not going to have, like, you know, 2 cameras or anything. We're just going to do this one take in the long shot because it, you know, speaks to the truth of the moment, but it also really eases the pain on the actors, man, because doing that once and just letting it all go and letting that performance be as strong as possible, yeah. I think Paulie, in the real life Paulie, he sorted things out a little bit too personally almost. You know what I mean? And, you know, I think the reason they kept that out in this movie is because they really wanted, you know, Paulie to look more like a surrogate father in this movie. And, you know, it's just, to a general audience, I feel it would be kind of weird if, you know, you had the father figure of the movie, you know, start fucking around with the guys, you know, with the lead protagonist. It's
but at the same time, that tracks for the mob.
It is. It is. It does track, but I'm just saying to a general audience, it's just, you know, a way to kind of ease into that a little bit more and to, because it uses that motif of storytelling that we're used to make us understand, okay, yeah, he really is the father figure of this movie. Because it's kind of the same deal of, like, you know, having Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, getting busy with Leia all of a sudden in just the original, just in 1977 when you had no context for anything else and it was just that self-contained movie. Yeah, it doesn't feel right, does it? I mean, yeah, I know they're supposed to be like good guys and bad guys and sort of thing, but that's the point that I'm making, though, is that if you fuck around with that motif, then the audiences won't be as strong of a message to the audience.
I mean, yeah. And obviously, like, you're gonna adjust the movie to work for a movie.
Yeah. Oh, but and you would think something like this, as something as crazy and random as this, isn't real. Trust me, this shit happened.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell. You know, it's times in historical movies like this where I look at them and, like, I see these insane moments or weird happenstances, and I'm like, okay, that's almost weird enough to make me feel like that was a real thing, you know? Because life is far stranger than fiction. Yeah, man, you you tuned up the wrong man, dude.
I love the black and white photos there though.
Yeah. It actually well, I mean, it didn't come out until a year later, but it kind of makes me think of some of the stuff that Oliver Stone was doing in JFK with the black and white photography, and to get that kind of semi-documentary feel. And that's I think what this movie really does, is that it's semi-documentary, almost, because Scorsese always described this as just like a hoodlum on the streets come up to you and be like, hey, come here, I want to tell you a story. And then this is the movie of that story. Oh, and then, of course, probably one of my favorite songs of the movie. Old Bobby Darin. Wait for it. Cut.
I love that line, though. Now take me to jail.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And what I love here is that this was not exaggerated.
No, man. Like, they straight up, they're like, we own the fucking joint. Like, so we're living like kings.
It's no longer like this, but at the time, yeah.
Yeah. Not gonna lie though, this really makes me appreciate the Italian cooking. Can you imagine how good these meals must have been? You got the pork and the sauce. You got these wonderful veggies and all these herbs and sides. You got these beautiful loaves of bread, red and white wine. Oh man, dude, these dinners must have been delicious. Yeah, steaks.
Let me tell you, pan-seared steak.
Yeah,
you're right. It will smell up the place, but it'll be tasty as heck.
How do you take your steaks, Sean? How do you take them?
Medium rare.
Oh, you take them medium rare? Oh, okay. So you're the aristocrat of the joint, huh? Oh, see,
I know how to eat.
I'm taking mine medium or medium well. Usually just medium.
Blasphemy.
No, I just want a little bit of pink, man. Just a little bit.
Blasphemy.
Ah, you can suck it. Well, I only go medium rare when they make their steaks like super ridiculously over the top bloody, and I'm like, that's not me. I prefer them nice and even, right in the middle, medium.
Nope.
Well, hey, at least I'm there with you. That the people who like their shit well done can. We ask them politely but firmly to leave.
I mean, I'm kind of putting you in that category.
Hey, man, I said medium, not well done. Medium well is the highest I will ever go, and that's only to compensate if their steaks are overly bloody. If I'm going to like an Outback steakhouse that has these really bloody steaks and whatnot, or just known for that, then I'll go medium rare or medium well. But usually, like 9 times out of 10, I'm going medium all the way.
If I order medium rare and it comes in a bit more on the rare side, I'm still eating it and I'm still happy.
Oh, I'll still eat it, man.
Right,
Good steak's a good steak, man. Oh, shit.
What I love here is, as so often is the case, prison is is a place where you learn how to do crime, not that deters you from it.
Oh yeah, no, it's for real. Like, as a matter of fact, one of the best lines from Shawshank Redemption, he's like, the irony is, like, I was outside, I was clean as a whistle, squeaky clean. I had to go to prison to learn how to become a crook. And you know what? There's a lot of fucking truth to that shit. Because you got to learn how to do crime on the inside just to stay alive or to stay afloat. Oh yeah, this here. Man, even the way they highlight that shit, Now, I know they're doing this for the sake to make this scene just as uncomfortable as possible.
Right.
But actually, the meetings like this, where it would be outside on a beautiful grounds out on a picnic table.
Huh.
Yeah, because again, like remember these guys own the joint, so he had the king's a kind of king's way of living it. But for the sake of the tension in this scene, I can understand why they would want to do it, you know, in the general visiting area.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's another thing these guys were really really against back in the day is they weren't like they wouldn't be all about like we ain't gonna be looking for a handout or anything. Oh,
right.
Some kind of fucking schmuck. We some kind of red commie? Because you know that was kind of the thinking back in the day. But yeah, they wouldn't be ones to take a handout or anything. They needed money, they'd steal it.
And see, this is where stuff goes sideways. You go in jail, you realize that the real money's in narcotics. I mean, this guy was making crazy money on the street, goes to jail and realizes he could be making 10 times more doing narcotics.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that's what they slapped the wrist even harder on that shit. Because that's even far more criminalized. Yeah, the payout's better, but the risk is even higher.
Well, yeah, but you know,
and I think that's why the old school guys wanted to stay away from it. You know, because it's too high risk.
They did. I mean, they did for a time, but it became that. Even The Godfather said it best: "It pays so well, they can't say no."
Yeah, yeah. Man, look at the production design on this shit. Because I always see, like, especially in like student films and whatnot, the environments they never feel lived in. You know, it's always these empty, blank, sad boy apartments. And I get that's usually what's in their budget and whatnot, but I always appreciate a well-dressed set. Oh, once again. Man, can you imagine? I can practically taste those meatballs and that pasta. Seriously, can you imagine what it would be like just to eat with these guys? Look, if you can just have like one meal with these guys, I think I'd actually be like, man, that's probably one of the best Italian dishes I've ever had in my life. But yeah, I don't really do. But I think it was like at least during the height of their power in like the late '60s, early '70s, where these guys were like, "Look, we don't. The risk is just too fucking high to be doing drugs, so we don't want to be doing that." But it wasn't until like the late '70s and early '80s where that shit was rampant. That and it was because the payoff was so good they just couldn't stop.
Yep.
Yep. Oh boy. Man, that slap right there.
And then again, the needle drop.
Of course, we got to have fucking gimme shelter. But he's like, yeah, I'm staying out of that. Immediately cuts to a mountain of coke. Oh my god.
I love it. Even with Sandy
snorting more than she mixed.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. God. Right in the middle of a federal building, and they haul all this money. Good Lord. Holy hell, look at this lavish shit. Oh, this, okay. That couch there, you're not going to believe this, but I totally have that exact same couch. It's not white, it's navy blue, but, oh, dude.
You have a couch with a zebra print in the middle of it?
No. It's the it's the same couch, but instead of white leather, it's like navy blue leather.
And without the zebra print.
Yes. No, the zebra
print makes it.
No, well, I do have a blanket over it, but it's not zebra print, and it's one that my fiance made, so it makes it more special. But I will attest to you, that couch is fucking comfortable. It is super. I know a lot of people who visit me when or whatever and stay the night. They are always like, man, that is one of the most comfortable couches I've slept on. Yeah, man, it's good, and I got it for free. This wonderful friend of a family who were moving out and they didn't have a place for it, and they're like, look, you can have this for free so long as it stays in the family.
And here we go. It's heist time.
The Lufthansa Heist. And of course, someone that you're like, holy shit, he was in this? Wait for it.
And here we go!
Yo! One of the early roles, Nick Fury himself, Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah! Back when he had hair, too, you know?
Right.
Damn. That was a long time ago. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, what was this woman's name? Because I've seen her in a couple of other Scorsese movies. Shit. Oh, either way, I know I've seen her around in a couple other movies. But also, now this shit gets like, holy fuck. He's got all that coke in the diaper bag.
Powdered milk, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, oh, yeah, officer, this is just baby powder.
Like, no, it's a powdered milk mix for the baby.
Yeah, or one of the two, man.
Balls!
Oh, Jesus. All right, now listen carefully to the sound design here. Now, I want to say it's just the acoustics, but I think they distorted it just so slightly because of the drugs that they're on. Do you hear it?
Yeah, I do.
Because, like, you might think, hey, maybe it's just the reverb of the room or whatnot, but I think that they actually, filtered it through, like, something to get that, that feel that they're on drugs. Which that's a wonderful little touch.
And I love the fact that they're, they point out, like, everything's dirty, because it actually was. His house was so clean, they didn't find the information to book him until they raided his girlfriends.
Yeah. Oh, this shit where he hears about the heist. All right, I love this cut where right here. The way that cuts to a Christmas song. It's motherfucking... Right. They just had the biggest heist in American history. It is fucking Christmas, bitches!
A Christmas song from Phil Spector's Christmas album.
Oh my God, you're totally right. Yes. I used to play this all the time. And every year, anytime I hear this one, I immediately go to this. Just like, it's early Christmas, bitches, and we got a pink Cadillac and fur coats.
Right.
Oh, and then, of course, he's like, man, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, man, you can't be buying anything big. Don't buy anything big. I get that, they got a lot more than they were bargaining for. Because look, like, well, this is what 70, 75, 76 in the movie?
I don't remember the specific year, but yeah.
But yeah, oh here we go. The Lufthansa heist. That was yeah. Okay, so this is December 1978. So you can imagine how much $6 million would be in 1970s money.
Oh yeah.
That's that's easily like, you know, almost 17, 20 million nowadays. So when they're used to only stealing like maybe $1 million by the equivalent of today.
Right.
Oh shit. Yeah, you know, not hey man, seriously, you got to work smart on this stuff. You rob someone, you make sure you do not get anyone flashy.
Right?
I think this is you know what, I think this is what the genius of one of the genius things that Breaking Bad commented on. The shittier the car the character's driving, the richer and more lucrative he is.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, like what was it when they were investigating Gus Fring, and he's like, "This is fucking genius. This guy is driving a goddamn used convertible or used Volvo,
right?"
And he's fronting as one of the biggest drug lords in ABQ. Because that's because Gus Fring is smart when it deals with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I love how it's essentially just like, this. Jesus. I'm actually kind of surprised she's lasted this long. Because, yeah, Tommy, he's all over the place, man. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Maury.
I know. This is probably the reason why Maury's dead and Henry gets to live, is because, yeah, look, we know we got a bigger payoff than what we were expecting from the heist, but I'm smart enough to keep my fucking mouth shut and not demand a bigger payment, because that's what Maury's like, up, blowing up skirts and everywhere. Because he's like, hey man, we got a bigger payoff. I want a bigger percentage. Like I want more. I want more. Give me my money. So, and because of all that stir ups that he was causing with everybody, he gets whacked for it.
Yep.
And I think that's another reason why the Lufthansa thing was such a damning thing for them, because they weren't expecting that kind of a payoff. They were expecting half that at most.
But it also says how much that Paulie had to trust Jimmy, because that he you can't just go whacking all those guys. Like that had to be sanctioned.
Yeah.
So Paulie got paid off, and he had to be worried too. And you saw he doesn't want to go to jail. So anything bringing heat.
Yeah, and you don't need that kind of heat, because remember, that's kind of the same reason why in Point Break, where they only go for the registers, they don't go for the vault, because they don't get greedy. You don't want to get too greedy. If you get too greedy, you get just things get messed up. And speaking of messed up here, man, once again, you doing everything in a long, wide shot. It feels so casual,
I love that.
I know, right? And watch it. God damn.
Whew.
You also got to really remark, how good is that blood squib effect? The fact that
Right?
it's done all in the wide shot. And you know what's even crazier? If you look, I know, with the fucking coffee, man. But if you watch that shot in the wide, there was a picture frame in there that totally got splattered with blood. And I'm so glad that Scorsese did not use like a close-up of that. Because it's so overused and overdone. But oh shit, yeah. You see the blood in the background?
Yep.
Yep. Don't get high on the job, man.
Yeah.
Although I can also kind of see why a lot of people would resent that scene a lot, because literally the only black guy in the movie gets whacked in the most grotesque way. Oh, God. Oh, shit.
I love the fact, though, that at the start of this scene, you see him messing with his nose, just establishing he's high out of his mind right now,
which
is part of the reason for the paranoia.
Yeah. But I also love this reaction where he goes, "They're gonna make you?" Oh, shit. We're opening up the books. Sound like John Gotti. Hey, did you ever see Gotti? The one with John Travolta that got... You actually watched it?
No. I've seen Gotti. As the person. I have not seen the movie. No. Why would I?
Yeah, skip that piece of shit. It's god-awful. I mean, outside of the hilarious honest trailer that they did of that movie, I actually knew one of my stand-up friends. He actually had a nude scene in Gotti that wound up getting cut. Which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, that was a piece of shit movie. It is. Honest Trailers, as always, they describe it perfectly. It's as if someone watched Goodfellas on a whole bunch of times while they were sleeping and decided to write a script. It's so bad.
Although speaking of Gotti, it is widely believed, even though they've never actually found Tommy's body, it is believed that Gotti himself whacked him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because Gotti had, Gotti being high in the Bambino family and having an association with Billy Bats, it's believed he did it personally as a fuck you.
Yeah. Oh, this scene right here. Sunshine of your love. Oh, dude, the menace in that. Woo! I gotta ask you, because obviously this is one of Robert De Niro's finer roles, but would you say this is his best? I don't think it's his personal best, honestly. What do you think is his personal best?
I mean, that's so hard to say because of the variety. I mean, obviously,
I know, right?
I think my personal favorite's probably Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
But I honestly think his best work might honestly be Godfather 2. Because it's so quiet. It's so much subtler than what you're used to seeing him do.
I also thought probably... I'm with you there. I always thought Taxi Driver is kind of his shining moment, for me, at least for me personally. But I also think I kind of acknowledge that probably his best role, his absolute, at his the absolute best performance he's ever given, was probably Raging Bull. That's just me, because especially the dedication where he gained 60 pounds for that.
I like his performance there. I'm just not a huge fan of the movie. Like, that's a character I didn't really resonate with.
Yeah, I mean, I probably liked it a little bit more than you did, but yeah, I'm kind of there with you, which is so weird to say because, Scorsese's known for making at least one grand American masterpiece a decade. In the 70s,
Yeah.
it was Taxi Driver. In the 80s, it was Raging Bull. Goodfellas was the 90s. 2000s was The Departed. And you could probably argue maybe that Wolf of Wall Street was like the 2010s.
Yeah.
Just like one like great American masterpiece that have kind of interconnected themes and character study tropes. Oh, Jesus. It's at this point where even if you haven't seen this movie, based on the kind of tropes that he does, where all these guys are just kind of bantering and whatnot, you should know he's going to get fucking whacked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, they even mentioned how they were... That's the only mention of it, of him shaving points up in Boston from his money. But, man, dude, the way that murder is, it's just that little... and that's it. Oh, my God.
And they're not even phased about going to chop up a body. Like,
no. And at this point, they're arguing about, like, hey, man, I'm waiting for the car to warm up. Warm up,
right?
I'll warm you up. Fucking go. Yeah, see, this is how when the guys in the mafia got whacked. They get whacked, but you wouldn't find a fucking body. You were lucky if you found a body.
Like, the only time you're gonna find a body is if they're specifically trying to send a message. Otherwise, they don't want anything left around.
Yeah, usually the only time you'll find a body is by sheer circumstance. Like,
no, or as I said, there are times where it's like there's a body because it's a message.
Yeah. Either it's they'll leave a body as a message, but otherwise they will just disappear like nothing.
Yep.
And the only time you'll ever find like an unintentional mob body is just by sheer circumstance, like Joe Pesci's character in Casino when he gets buried out in the sticks out in the cornfield. Yeah, a farmer dug him and his brother up just by plowing the fields and shit. So.
Yep.
It's only then that they'll find him by circumstance, but otherwise, oh no, that shit's a message. And I
love this scene with just like
the kids though.
Yeah.
That because once again, Scorsese is channeling that childhood where he witnessed some violent gangsters as a kid, and he didn't understand it at the time, but now. He's making a beautiful work of art, of cinema, where he can finally come to terms with what he saw and the things that he grew up with. Man, even the fucking pink slip. Yeah, again, probably the only reason why they're finding bodies like this is because they were whacking them so fast that they couldn't get rid of them fast enough. Oh, hell. Listen to that music cue. Boom. That's how you use needle drop, man. That's because you got to use the rhythm and the beats to sync it up with that audio. And hell, he actually even played this music on the set and location just to get that timing correct. And that's something no one ever does these days. They probably do, but only in very low budget cinema where, the studios actually don't have any reign to tell them what to do, like that sort of thing. Because, all these big movies, these big tentpole movies, they got all these studios and all these investors saying, you got to do this, you got to have a certain shot parameter, and, oh, you can't use music quite like this, you won't want to use this instead because it's more popular and it tests well with audiences. Like, just shut up and sometimes, and look, I get it. You want to protect your investments and whatnot. You want to make money, and you don't want it to turn into a flop. But for the love of fucking God, when you have a really great artist, let him be.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. I mean, there's so much that you see, in every industry where it's like when somebody is a good artist and they're just given the resources to create and not handled or reined in, they make great work.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of what Netflix did with The Irishman. They just basically gave him a blank check to do what he needed to do, and he turned in a really great masterpiece. Hell, it might just be, his masterpiece of this decade, the 2020s. So who knows? Maybe we're wrong. Oh wait, no, that was 2019. But whatever.
I want to point out in the 2000s, the mob did change the rule. Your dad had to be Italian, and you have to have an Italian last name.
Yeah, you read that same thing on IMDb as I did, didn't you?
Yeah. Hey, man, but as we talked about the commission. The commission still exists, and that's from them.
Yep. That was one of the lines where I'm like, God damn, they really hold no bars. It's like, in the voiceover, because usually they use leave the voiceover, and they don't keep like a whole lot of profanity in that. But it's like you could fuck around with anybody so long as anyone else is a member.
Right.
And then just a license to steal, a license to do anything, and the way it pans out with that long shot, it felt like almost GTA levels of gangster. Oh yeah, and here, boom.
And
Gone.
Again, body never found. Don't actually know how he was killed.
Yeah. But it is a lot of fun that Scorsese's father was the one who pulled the trigger in that scene.
Yeah.
All right, just wait for the push-in. Boom. Boom. Man, how those dolly push-ins are just...
What I love there, though, is like the guy's hesitation to say he's gone. Because in the mob, when someone's whacked, they're no longer talked about. Like, so once he says he's gone, like, Jimmy should know at this point you're done. You don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's over.
Yeah. He's gone. That's it. I mean, that's it. Can't do nothing about it. Ah, jeez. Oh, sleeping with Henry's wife, or
right.
raping him, and all this stuff that he was doing, like
attempting to.
Yeah, and plus it's just one more loose end that's tied from that ties them away.
I like
from
that though. It was real greaseball shit. It was Italian stuff.
Yeah,
like
greaseball shit. I like that. That's some good writing there. Yeah, there was nothing in that casket, man. He's gone. He's gone. Oh no, this shit right here. The last day in Henry's life. And it's crazy how much time is dedicated. We have exactly 32 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that almost roughly about a fifth of the movie is just his last day.
Yep.
That's a crazy structure. And also, this is another way that really taught me the rhythms of this kind of of shooting styles. Also, have you ever had like a really busy day where you're going around doing a whole lot of errands, and
Yes.
every once in a while, I will flash back to this scene just to be like, I gotta be over here, I gotta be over here, I gotta go do this, I gotta pick my brother up, I gotta go go pick up this, I gotta do the groceries, all this sort of thing, and then I gotta cook dinner later at night, and just all this shit, boom, 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 boom.
I love the fact though. It's like, how arrogant have you become where you think a helicopter is following you, and you just don't stop.
Yeah. Really at that point, he should have been. He really should have just stayed home and call someone in on this shit.
Yeah.
But you know what? I guess it's one of those things where it's like, you've got a really busy day, things are in motion, you're in a rhythm for your own life, and you just got to keep going. And then moving into another song and using this bit here. Ready? Yeah!
Oh my god! And I think all of us have been there at some point.
Yeah.
And those moments suck.
I think this is the part of the movie that really starts to play with you, that appeals to your punk rock sensibilities. Yeah, yeah. Whew. And once again, motherfucking helicopters. Now, this guy who played his brother, he always wanted to be in a Scorsese movie. He's actually just like this kid who begged Martin to be like, I really want to be in this movie. And
I'll do anything. Come on.
Oh, yeah. And he always wanted to be in a Scorsese movie because he was a huge fan. He auditioned for him, and eventually he got to be in it. And so he said, yeah, filming this movie was like being a bat boy for the Yankees during the World Series. I was an actual player. I wasn't like an actual player on the team, but I got a job to do, and I was allowed on the field. And it was the greatest feeling I had to that point. Also, that editing there, boom. Did you see the way that that's edited?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The way that it goes like from where he looks up in one shot, and then he looks up again in the close-up, and then boom, boom. Man, the way that they do that is so good. This movie, like I said, this movie taught me so much about editing and how you can use discontinuity and what's perceived as editing don'ts, quote unquote.
Right, yeah.
To enhance it, to create a hyper realism for certain scenes. Also, dude, the makeup on these guys that doesn't get talked about. Like the makeup with the sweat.
Oh yeah, I mean,
bags under their eyes.
I mean, if you've ever seen somebody strung out, they're looking like it.
Yeah, and these guys are high as a kite, man.
But not just high, like they've been high a long time.
A very long time. Jesus Christ. All this shit is so haphazard. Everything be alright this morning. Again, using lyrics to comment on the scenes. Because it's not just about the beats and about the rhythms or anything. No, let's actually use the lyrics to either comment on things, or hell, let's do something completely in the other direction. You know? That's like in the scene where they beat him to death to Donovan's Atlantis. And it's like you wouldn't think that goes together, but it weirdly just does. Because there's a weird irony and removal of the situation.
Yeah.
Also, man, they are smoking like a chimneys. Like,
oh yeah,
Christ.
the whole movie they are.
Fuck, man. God. I also love that they cut away before she starts snorting, because it's
Yeah.
like, look, we get it. We know what's going on. Oh, boy. Now, here's one of the more interesting things that they did for editing in this movie. When she pulls out the flight, or her tickets for the flight,
Uh-huh.
and I'll point it out because it's coming up in just a moment. Damn. Yeah, right here where they pull up the flight info. There's a black bar.
Yep.
And I know that's got to be like a copyright thing, because but still, I just love.
Or the airline just did not want any association.
Oh yeah, totally. For one reason or another, they legally couldn't do that, so they put the black bar there. But what I find really fucking ballsy about Scorsese is that no, this shot is so important because again, we're using freeze frames to highlight key moments where Henry Hill's life spirals out of control.
But also, really, how absolutely stupid was that woman for not using an outside line?
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah,
say
I know.
it. Like,
I know.
Come on.
But my point is that Scorsese is felt so strongly that thematically had to stay in the cut that he's like, no, I'll put a black bar over it and I'll just eat it. I don't give a shit. That is so, because really, if any other director was in that situation where they legally couldn't show that, they probably would have just cut it out. Be the lesser of it. But Scorsese's like, no, this is important. Oh, you son of a bitch.
I love that. Yup.
Mm.
Who is eating dinner at like 11 at night? My God.
Maybe the only person I could think of is maybe like a hobbit, but it's they already had supper and now they're eating dinner. But otherwise, yeah, no. So we had all this music going throughout this entire thing. Now we got no music. The tension in here is so wonderfully done because we've been just like wall to wall music.
Yeah.
Now it's just wait for it. Oh shit, you see the lights?
Yup.
Oh shit. And right here, I love this. Not just the performance, but the voiceover. Yep. Damn. Now this whole bit with the amount of coke that they had and how she flushed it down the toilet, that is fictionalized. Because when they busted him, he only had like one or two Quaaludes in his pocket.
Yeah,
but it wasn't until they
found nothing at his house.
Yeah, or on him for that matter. But and that whole thing where they broke in like that with the whole tension, Yeah, that really didn't happen, but it wasn't until they busted
Yeah.
his girlfriend where they had loads of evidence. All of it. Like enough coke to fill up, 5 flour bags. And then some, I'm sure.
Yeah, narcs do not play around.
No, they do not. Yep, right there. All the evidence they would ever need.
Yup.
Yeah, how's that cake taste? What we got, Louie? Huh?
I love that line. Bye-bye, dickhead.
Or how about see you in Attica? Shit. And by the way, this is something that I did not notice for a very long time, but in the aftermath of his arrest,
Yeah.
until at least until the credits start rolling, there is no music. None. The soundtrack is dead because his life is now gone. The music was a way to highlight the life, the lifestyle and whatnot. Now that it's all gone, so's the soundtrack. I love that little thematic detail.
Yeah, it's great.
Maybe it's because they did. Maybe that whole thing with the toilet did happen. I'm not entirely sure. Whew. $60,000 literally down the shitter.
Yeah.
And once again, these really, really intense scenes with each other as actors, they keep it in the wide. I'm actually really happy that they keep them mostly in the wide shot because it makes you feel like you're just standing in the corner witnessing it. And it's only times when it pushes in here where it's, like a little bit more of a beat. But ultimately, Scorsese's like, no, you're just someone here who's just standing and witnessing it.
Mm-hmm. And I love this pan right here. It's like,
with the fucking gun in his hand.
Yup.
I actually kind of, I always love the subtext that Paulie's the one who's cooking here. He is literally simmering.
Yeah.
The sound of the cooking is the simmering of it of his rage. And I also like that he is basically cooking up an appetizer for what he wants to do with Henry.
Yep.
He wants to chop him up and slap him on a grill and eat him. Basically, that's kind of the subtext that's going on here, and I really, really like that choice. Gonna take mercy on him, huh? That's cold.
Yeah. But, like, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
With him turning his back on him, he doesn't know anything else besides criminality. What's he supposed to do?
Now that line there, I don't attribute to his horrible situation, but America's. Yeah, the funeral industry is ridiculous. Read into that shit.
Oh, dude, the funeral and medical industry in this country is ridiculous.
Always has been too. That's the other thing. Like they always treat it like, oh, it always wasn't that. You know, it was always that bad. It was always that bad, you guys.
Yeah.
So this one scene, I always wondered. You know how Robert De Niro had those like giant fucking glasses at the scene in the diner? I kind of wish he had the same ones here in this scene, just to make him look even older.
Yeah.
Because he's still got those glaring eyes that you can use. And once again, the way that they're talking to each other, without any music, it's all real casual. It's real good.
Yep.
You should know. Yeah, no. Only difference is Karen got wise.
Yep.
Seriously, because the way he's like, no, just go around over there. Go around over there. Also, what the hell? Where the hell are they? Are they in like a warehouse where they're stripping shit? Like, I don't know the context of it, but for some reason, I'm glad that they add all that texture to that set and this scene because it just feels real.
They're
yeah, right there, man. Not gonna lie though, Jimmy's execution of this really fucking sloppy. You know?
Yeah.
Nope. Run! Run, woman! Get out of there! Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Now, how terrifying is that, actually? Is that it's not the fact that you were almost whacked by someone. It's that you were about to get whacked by a close friend.
Yep.
That's
how it is in the mob. It's like your best friend's the one who does it.
Yeah. That's the whole bit. That's the whole great dialogue that's coming up in a bit. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'll shake anyone up, man. It's because remember, it's one thing to have just some random crook try to hurt you or whack you or whatnot, but it's another thing entirely to have someone close to you, the one that you spent vacations with and had drinks with, and yeah, it's bad. Yeah. Yep. Oh, now this is a shot that is always really underlooked. This is actually a dolly zoom. Watch the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dolly zoom. But it's so subtle, no one ever picks up on it. And and it's not a gimmick either at all. At all. This is us visually showing that Henry's life is literally closing in on him.
Mm-hmm.
That shot never gets talked about enough. Like, I know the whole tracking shot into the Copacabana, like that gets talked about endlessly.
Yeah.
No one ever talks about one of the most brilliant and subtle uses of the dolly zoom. Yeah, see this giant these giant sunglasses or giant glasses.
Yup.
That almost blow up his eyes to magnifying glasses. Make him look like Milton from Office Space. And I get it. They're trying to do just about any makeup or any trick that they can to make them look far older than they actually are, because this is like a story that spans 30 years.
Right.
So I get it. You know, you want to put the dye the hair and whatnot. Want to give them big glasses and I get it. But it's still. Freeze. Now that whole thing about he never was asked to do a hit before, that is so not true. The real Henry Hill actually did kill people.
Oh yeah, they all did.
No, of course, that's just the life. And speaking of the real story of Henry Hill, hey, check it out!
Yeah.
It's the actual guy that prosecuted him or put him into witness protection.
Yep.
Isn't that nuts? Like that is, it's so crazy that they found the guy that put him, you know, into witness protection, but they also had him do a bit part in a cameo. That's so fucking cool. Because look, I know, as much as we talk about how creative liberties are taken to better the story and whatnot, it's actually amazing the amount of accuracy this movie has for the real thing, you know. And even if the actual facts and distort things kind of like were changed and whatnot, the truth of it is still there. Hey. Yep. Excuse. No. No. No.
I love that. Yeah.
I was the amount of the amount of just coke.
And this is one of the only times we see him not in long sleeves and we see the tattoo.
Yep. Yep. And what's really nuts is that when Henry did get into the witness protection program, he fell right back into this stuff, and he got kicked out of the witness protection program. So all this is for shit. Counts for shit.
Well, I mean, eventually he lasted a bit, but did still fall back in. Yes.
Yeah. You know, when you really look at Henry Hill as a person, I honestly feel like almost bad for him. Like, not for anything that he did or said or anything, but just the circumstances that pushed him to where he needed. That could have been totally avoidable.
But you know, that's welcome to medical science, that we've learned shit.
Yeah. And yet, I feel like we're still, you know, going backwards because of all the disinformation that people peddle out there. It's such a mess, Sean. It really is. All right, this look right here. Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. You'd think like a movie that is profoundly about guilt, that's a mob movie, you'd think that it'd be all about the person like lamenting of all the things that he did. But but no, the thing is, he's lamenting of all the stuff that he could continue to be doing. He doesn't regret a goddamn thing. Which is weird because, you know, the real Henry actually has been very vocal about a lot of the things that he regrets. Especially for Billy Bats. Like, when he still says he had nightmares for the longest time about that.
Yeah.
Although then again, thinking about it, it's like almost because that was what screwed him for life. Maybe not because he killed a person. And I also gotta love that that's like the only time when the voiceover goes to live action. And, you know, then Scorsese would take that trope and go nuts with it with Wolf of Wall Street. I just wished it was a little bit mixed a little bit better, because I didn't understand why he was talking directly to me until like the very last bit where he goes, "Now it's all over. Great train robbery tribute."
To me, it's so weird that they went into
Yeah.
that the song, the freaking version of My Way by Sid Vicious. I'm just like, really? Like, that's what you go out on?
Well, I don't see why you're complaining. It's going to your punk sensibilities.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Jimmy Conway, though, he died in 96, only a couple years after that. And now now even the credits are kind of remarkable in the way that they get Thelma Schoonmaker right there. Just hands down, one of the best. But listen to the song and how it, you know, has certain beats and how it'll cut to the beats. Just boom. 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 Just see, even the editing in the credits, the fucking credits is remarkable. So, yeah, I don't think, Henny Youngman as himself, man. But, so I think we can both say, no matter how many times we're going to watch this is still going to be one of the greatest American films of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredibly well done.
I'll watch the. Oh, look at it, Johnny Roast Beef, John Williams. I'm pretty sure completely unrelated to the maestro of movies. But yeah, man, just that's seriously. I've watched this movie countless times, and I'm still amazed at the craft. Even all these years later, it's still one of my all-time favorites and one of the most deeply, profoundly inspirational movies of my life. It's, and because I acknowledge not just the craft, but the history and what it means to the art form of cinema, not in just terms of the editing, but the rhythm and the fact that cinema isn't really a great tool to tell stories, but it is a fantastic tool to convey mood and atmosphere. And this movie has a real attitude and atmosphere, man. So, does it? Because I take it now. I gotta ask: does it get better for you every time you watch it?
I wouldn't say better, but I do. There's little stuff I pick up on that I didn't always pick up before. You know. So there's always going to be stuff like that. But it's one of those. It's like whatever you want to watch this movie for, it's there. If you want to watch it for like period costumes, it's got it. If you want to watch it, for the setting, for the mood, for the language, it's spot on.
Even the fucking soundtrack, man. Dude, if you, I actually went out. I think this movie was the probably the first soundtrack that I bought on like iTunes or something like that. But afterwards, I just kind of threw it out the trash, and I wound up looking up every goddamn song that this movie has and making my own little custom GoodFellas album.
Yeah,
and
been there.
Every one of these
done stuff like that.
Oh yeah, dude. And hell, here it is, like all the songs. But all of them fantastic ones, and I'll still pop on every once in a while songs from this soundtrack, man. And like I said, I did, just based on how I feel about editing and the music in this movie, I did a whole animated music video, or just movie music video, of the Rags to Riches song, and you can check that out on my YouTube channel. I got a link in the description below for you. And editing that, I really felt the kind of precision that this movie gives, because I was literally editing that song down to the frame just to get the rhythm absolutely right. And yeah, man, and seriously, hats off to Thelma Schoonmaker and Marty, because Marty's the
of course.
Marty's the one who has that rhythm. Boom. And again, remember, this entire thing, it could have just been, just scrolling credits like you normally see, but it's like, no, we're going to keep this needle drop going. We're going to have that rhythm keep on going. And I am here for it, man. This is still one of the greatest movies of my life. And you know what's even more fucked up? This movie cost about $25 million. It didn't even make half that at the box office.
Yeah, but on the back end, it's made so much money.
Yeah, oh yeah, and the after that, oh man, yeah, this probably financed almost all of his movies in his later career.
And you also have to think, it's like, why did you make a movie? I mean, it even had a horrible reaction from the test screening, but when it was released, even though it didn't do well, critical darling. And there is something to be said for having a work that is a critical darling.
Yeah. So, well, that was a hell of a fun time, man. Seriously, I was I've been wanting to talk about this movie for ages and ages, and I'm finally glad to do it. And that's I think a really great way to end up Mob March. But next month, we're starting up in April with action movies, bitches. Yeah, let's get the adrenaline pumping. Are you ready for this, Sean? Because I'm ready. I'm so happy.
Always.
Hell yes. You know what? I'm fucking so happy and so excited for it. I'm going to release the next episode just a few days early, just for you out there who have been listening. So, that said, we'll be back again for some action movies all month long. It's going to be fucking great. So, in the meantime, I've been Tim.
I've been Sean.
And you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. Peace.